Jeez Louise, that was a good one. Well, good morning there, DBF family. So this week's video is just going to be a little bit different. This week's video, I'm going to show you the process that I use to repair dents and cracks in any two-stroke dirt bike expansion chamber. So let me show you what we got here and what we got ahead of us. So this pipe came off of one of my good buddies' 1997 CR500 that he just picked up for actually a pretty good deal. And he got the bike and brought it over to me, and he's got obviously some expansion chamber problems along with a leaking radiator, or a broken radiator therefore. And so I told him to pull it off, bring everything over to me, and I'd get it fixed up for him for the time being. It is the Pro Circuit pipe. I don't know which one it is. I don't run Pro Circuits, run the FMFs, but at any rate, he's going to run this pipe for a while until he can actually track down an FMF gnarly pipe, which we run on our CR500s. They just work better for the terrain and the kind of riding we do. So let me show you what we have ahead of us to fix this pipe up for him until he can find an FMF gnarly. So this pipe is pretty bad. It has a lot of cracks in it. And it's what causes these cracks on the CR500s is usually one of two things, if not both. When they put the pipe on, instead of using the stock gasket slash donut out of the cylinder, they silicone it, and that doesn't give the pipe any way to move or wiggle from the vibrations. The second thing of it is all of your pipe stays are either broken and letting the pipe move too much, or they've mounted it solid and the rubber is just gone, and there's again no way for the pipe to vibrate because it's a CR500 obviously. But look at all these cracks. So there's a whole bunch of cracks right through here, and then there is a Grand Canyon of a crack right there on the back side, and I believe there is one right there. Yeah, see it's been welded once before, and they're basically chasing the same weld because when he pulled this off, it was not mounted properly. So we're gonna get those TIG welded up, and then I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna blow this little teeny dent out. Remarkably, this is the only dent in the pipe right there. I'm gonna show you how to blow that dent out and then weld that tab back on it. And then I'm gonna clean this pipe up, and then I'm gonna show you a really cool way to make this pipe look brand new and somewhat custom. So let's get the welder out and start welding these cracks up. So before I bust the welder out and start welding these things up, I'm actually gonna take these buffing wheels that go on my bench grinder that you can get from Prime MX. And these come in several different grits basically. This one is a very coarse grit, and these two are quite a bit finer. So I'm gonna hit where we have to weld with the coarse grit really fast and just kind of help clean the area up a little bit, just so we have a little bit better weld. And once we get that done, then we'll fire up the welder and get burning some rod in this thing. Did I forget to mention, this is not exactly a clean job. Got red fuzzies all over me. All right, let's fire up the old TIG torch and see if we can melt some metal together. So the welder of choice I'm going to use today is my Miller 180 square wave TIG welder. Now you can actually do this with like a wire welder or a MIG welder. You can even weld it with a gas torch. But for me, this is gonna be the weapon of choice for today because I can control my puddle and I can control my heat a little bit more precise with this machine. So I'm gonna go ahead, and the first thing I'm gonna do is, if you can see the crack right here, the Grand Canyon crack, it's actually spread the pipe out a little bit. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put pressure and close the crack up, tack weld it, and then I'll run my final bead all the way across it. So enough said, let's get welding on this bad girl. Oh, and the other thing, do not be surprised if the residual two-stroke oil inside of this thing actually ignites, catches on fire, and blows flames out of one end or the other. It's happened to me before, and it scares me every time. It's not gonna explode, it's not gonna hurt you. It's just gonna make a big poof and a whole lot of smoke. We filled in the Grand Canyon. Let's start burning in some rod on this old girl. All right, this thing was pretty bad. Once I started welding it, a whole bunch of just little cracks started showing up. So yeah, it's not great, but we'll make it live again. So I think I got them all welded up, and next step, let's see if we can fix a dent. Now that I got all the cracks welded up on this thing, it's time to blow out this dent right here. So what we're gonna use to do that is, a couple years ago, I actually made some clamps that clamp on each side of the pipe, the inlet and the outlet side. Now you can buy this similar setup off of eBay. I just chose to build my own because it was a lot cheaper, but essentially it does the same thing. Once I get the ends capped off with these clamps, I'm actually going to use this engine leak down tester to pressurize the pipe. So the reason I like using this leak down detector is because I can maintain and keep a steady pressure on the inside of the pipe as I heat the pipe with the torch to push the dent out of it. So this is the setup I use, the homemade clamps and leak down detector. So I'm gonna get the ends put on this thing, and let's see if we can get this dent pushed out. So that's what the setup's gonna look like to pressurize the pipe and push the dents out of it. Now, there's a couple different ways to heat the area where you want to push the dent out. A lot of people use, propane or a MAP gas type torch. Those work good, but they tend to take a little bit longer to create heat, and they're not as pinpoint, as precise as an acetylene torch with a brazing tip or a welding tip on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hook some air to this thing, and we're gonna start out around 15 PSI on this thing, maybe 20, and start heating this exhaust where this dent is right here and see if it'll push right out. So there's about 15 PSI in that thing, and we don't have much for leaks on it, so that's a good sign. Next step, let's put some fire to it. While we're here, might as well touch up these ones on the bottom of the pipe. I think that'll do her. Hard part's done, now the fun part comes. I'm gonna polish this thing up on the wheel, and after we're done, I'm gonna take the torch and I'm gonna re-blue all these welds, so it'll look kind of like a works race pipe, or I don't know. It'll be pretty. So let's get to buffing. Jeez Louise, that was a good one. Now this expansion chamber is by no means perfect. This thing was extremely rough. I mean, it didn't have many dents in it, but man, it had a lot of breaks and cracks in it. So should be sealed up. I pressure tested it again, no leaks, so it should be just right. Should run really good for him. So I'm gonna go ahead and get him called up and have him come get this thing. Now the way I repair two-stroke pipes is probably not the same way everybody else does it. I don't know, could be. But it's the way I do it, and it works really well for me. I've had good luck doing it this way. So if you guys like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and definitely hit that like button. We'll catch you next time.